So today we're going to talk about the customer experience, but we've got some other like logistical fun things. First off, hope you all had fantastic breaks. Here's the agenda for today. So updates from break, we're going to go over the value props. You guys did such a great job with value props that you emailed me. They are all awesome, and the number of cool businesses out of that, or they're going to exist, or it was really, really exciting. Go over the timeline just so everyone's sure about like what we're going to do the rest of the semester. Then we're going to go over what is a customer experience, walk through the Airbnb article. Christina's coming to do this part of that, but she'll be here in a second. You all got to read the Airbnb article, right? Hope that was good and helpful. And then we're going to do some fun case studies, and then is Christina's startup, and she's going to talk with you about that, and then you're going to do a brainstorming activity to help her craft her customer experience. And then we're going to build your own. Cool. Okay, so thanks so much for the fantastic value propositions. I have read all the ones that were sent prior to 6 p.m. today. I think I've read and given feedback on, but all the ones that trickled in right before this, I have read most of them, but haven't had a chance to send you feedback. But they're all terrific. Like, you all did a really, really excellent job. And there's a lot of businesses that are in much later stages of development that do not have as well worded and crisply defined value propositions. Seriously, like, you should be excited about that. You can build sustainable businesses off of those. I'm going to put it all in the document and circulate it. I need to make sure that happens. So if someone could make sure that I actually do that, that'd be great. And always feel free to ask questions. You can always send me a text or an email or in the group me with Launch. Just if anyone has any questions about anything or would like feedback on something, please seek that out. One big thing, a lot of people think that entrepreneurship, people are going to go around like stealing ideas, and like you've all seen like The Social Network, and you think that like someone's going to pull Mark Zuckerberg on you, and that's not true at all in entrepreneurship. It's super, super collaborative. The best help that I've ever received has been from other people who have started both successful ventures, failed ventures, just random people on the street. Like, my housemates help with a lot of things. Like, a lot of people like do things that really help get your business along the way, and it can never, ever, ever hurts to ask for feedback, share ideas, and get results that way. There's like probably 10 people on the planet that you shouldn't share your ideas with. It's just like, don't share your ideas with like a direct competitor, like someone who already exists in that, and then probably be careful if someone's an investor. Like, think about what you're gonna say. But other than that, anyone can help. No one's gonna steal your ideas, and it's really, really good to be collaborative. And everyone here is available to meet up in chat too. I think for a lot of you that I sent the emails back to on the value props, feel free to say, I'd love to talk about this more, and we can find a time to meet up, grab a meal, get coffee, whatever. That'd be great. Here's one awesome example. I'm not gonna put whoever wrote this one on the spot yet, but there were two really, really good value props here. Does anyone want to read value prop 1? That's right here. Do you want to read for everybody else, or can folks read it?
Oh, okay.
You're close. That's good.
Sporting goods are too expensive. For athletic low-income teenagers who struggle to afford sporting goods due to their frequent turnover throughout the course of the sporting season and their high prices, we provide a cheap alternative to retail sporting goods that retains the same quality while lasting longer, delivered to their front door.
What are some strengths from this value proposition? Like, what are some really good things that this writer did?
It targets a very specific audience, athletic, low-income teenagers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Can you picture who that would be?
It's not redundant. I think a lot of them, like, you sort of answer the last part in your first two parts, but this one gives new information every
Awesome.
part.
That's a really good point.
And then people need to step into a market that's controlled by like some big players like Nike, blah blah, who don't, like, this little player could come in and actually disrupt the market.
Yes, that's true. That's awesome. Anyone else have other strengths that they saw with this? One other strength that I wanted to highlight is that they create value in a lot of different areas. That it's cheaper, lasts longer, delivered to your door, very convenient, and managed like over the course of the seasons. Having multiple points of value creation is really, really important. It's not just good enough to be just the cheapest or like just the healthiest or just the coolest or whatever it might be. You really need to round out your value proposition to differentiate yourself in a lot of areas. People call this competitive insulation. which is basically like how many layers do you have around your business that you can beat different competitors at. And the more layers you kind of build onto your business, the more sustainable it's going to be. So it's really great to already be thinking about that and how you can incorporate that in value propositions. So thanks, Ronak, for that. That was awesome. And there are a lot of other really, really exciting ones, but I just wanted to highlight that one. Cool. So here's a brief rundown of what the project's timeline is going to look like. So we're covering customer experience today. Then we're going to go over business models and actually make a business model for it. And we're going to cover how to give a pitch. So you're going to stand up in front of everyone else. On the first pitch day, we're going to get dressed up just a little bit so that we can take a photo for the website. We need those types of things. And after the first pitch day will be really fun. We'll bring cake. I'll hopefully find some people to come as guests to judge and give you feedback on it. And then you'll find a team, and then we'll start creating your MVP, create some working sessions, and then over winter break, you're going to be really hitting the ground running with your team on this. Does anyone have any questions about the timeline? I just want to make sure everyone kind of knows what to expect. Cool. Awesome. Rolling through. Great. All right, so let's talk about the customer experience here. So customer experience is every single possible interaction that a customer will have with you as a business over the course of their lifetime. This includes the time that you advertise to them, the first time that you sort of introduce yourself to them, all the way through the first time that they try your product, the first time that they buy it again, the first time that they sort of become a lifetime subscriber and they really join your brand, to the time before they share it with other people, and also it includes the bad times. This is really important. A lot of customers will have very, very negative experiences with companies, and great companies are made when you can turn a really bad experience into a really good experience, and a lot of companies are kind of sunk by allowing bad experiences to be even worse. So when you're crafting your company, it's really, really important to think about every single possible way that someone can interact with you. This is really key that it's defined by customer perception. It's not defined by the entrepreneur. You really need to put yourself in the shoes of the person who's interacting with your company or experiencing it. And a lot of times there can be a difference between the two. A lot of entrepreneurs will think, oh, we have an excellent customer experience, like everyone who comes in knows exactly what they're buying, knows exactly how to use it, and is always using it to the best of its abilities. And if someone doesn't buy more, it's their fault, like we haven't done anything wrong. That's the wrong way to approach your business in almost every single situation. You really need to be humble and always think about what can be improved. You need to be reaching out to your customers and listening to them very actively. This is why you always get hit with the surveys after you interact with a company that's like, how would you rate your customer experience today? And you can give feedback on it. It's because someone really wants to craft a better customer experience for you out of it. So here are two radically different examples of customer experiences. Disney is world renowned for having just amazing, amazing experiences around it. They're great with turning negative experiences into positive ones. I don't know if anyone's been to Disney World recently, but they have these magic bands which act as your wallet and your scan-in for rides and everything like that. But they also track location, so they'll know if someone's been waiting in line for a really long time, and then they can send them a discount right to them. So they'll be like, oh, so sorry that you were waiting 2 hours for Splash Mountain, but now you can go to our restaurant for 50% off. And they figured out that if they can turn people's negative experiences into positive ones, they could have a lot more brand loyalty and make people, consume more of their products. And then on the other hand, you have United Airlines, which obviously has terrible customer experiences associated with that, and that has become a part of their brand. And there's really no way that they're getting out of it. Sort of similarly, Wells Fargo recently, I don't know if you've seen their ads, but it's basically Wells Fargo established 17 whatever, reestablished 2018. They're trying really hard to ditch the reputation that they had for really bad customer experiences, and it's taking them a lot of time and a lot of money. So it's quite difficult to change that perception. Cool. I think we're supposed to go for a second. But how to craft sort of your customer journey is really important. The customer journey is the ideal experience that you want everyone to have. This is really a pathway, and you need to tell it like a narrative and tell it like a story of, so-and-so wakes up in the morning, they check their cell phone, they see us in their social media feed, they click on our website, they read the first line, they scroll down, they read the next line, they decide to buy our product, whatever it might be, it's shipped to their door, how it's shipped to their door, they try it for the first time. All of those things go into your journey, and you need to write it out step by step, and more detail is always better. The first point that we'll keep emphasizing is you always have to know your customer. You You need to know their needs, which are things that are essential to your business that it absolutely has to provide. This is things like, you know, your product needs to be safe. It needs to like do what you say that it's gonna do. Those types of things fall into needs. Pain points are inconveniences or things that the customer really doesn't enjoy that you can smooth over. So pain points might be that it takes forever to ship your product to someone else. One way to ease that pain point is to send them tracking info and say, you know, it's gonna arrive next Tuesday, like be sure that you're ready to receive it then. That's a good way to soften that pain point. And then wishes are kind of the extra like little things that you might get along the way that are really exciting for customers. One thing of a wish is where cereal companies, you know, would always insert a little toy into it to make a little kid happier. That's, you know, definitely not a need, definitely not a pain point that kids were having, but it was an additional wish that sort of made the customer experience that much better. And the key point on always is that you need to know that these needs and wishes all change both over the course of a customer's lifetime and over the course of the business's lifetime. So customers' need initially, when they first interact with you, is you have to explain to them what your business does, how they can help them improve their life. But after they've bought 2 or 3 times from you, or they've experienced your product for a good while, you don't need to reinforce this anymore, and their need has switched to something else to do with their business. So you really need to know how that's going to change over their lifetime. But then also it needs to change over your business's lifetime. If your business is fortunate enough to exist for a while where like technologies change, for instance, you need to know that, you know, previously like airline companies could just send you paper tickets. Now they know that the customer needs have changed, so now they have it on your boarding pass or on your Apple Wallet or whatever. Those are different sort of ways of that needs and pain points can shift over a customer lifetime. Then after you've outlined each of these, find where you can create value. You can create value at every single one of these points. So it's really key to look for as many that you possibly can accomplish in this. And then you sort of start walking yourself through the entire customer experience and treat it like a person-to-person relationship. That's much better than treating it like a company customer experience. Sort of say like, how will I introduce myself to them? This is marketing. Like, what's the tone that you're going to use? Teach them how to use your product and service. You need to walk through that. Give them an excellent first experience. A lot of times the first experience is really key to securing them for a long lifetime. And then serve them over the course of their lifetime with all of their possible needs, and then encourage them to share. Great businesses are evaluated sometimes with what's called an NPS, which is a Net Promoter Score. And it's a scale ranging from 0 to 10 that customers will say how likely they are to share your business with a friend. And so really, really excellent companies that deliver good customer experiences will have really high ratings on that, and that'll help them acquire more customers easier. Cool. So now on the Airbnb article, which I sort of think is one of the best ways to think about customer experiences. Does anyone want to tell the rest of the group what Airbnb does? What's their business model or value proposition? You want to share? I was gonna bring candy today to like toss out to encourage people to share more, but I don't have any candy, so I'll give you an IOU. Yes, awesome.
They link people with homes or spaces that they're not using with other people who will live in them for a short period of time.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's perfect. And then what were some of the key takeaways from that article that people got? The 4 big rules are up there, but there's definitely a lot more to talk about. Does anyone want to talk about the first point? Like, what does pay attention to your user really mean? Does anyone remember from the article? Yeah.
Like, ask your users for feedback and then adapt your business to what they liked and what they didn't like.
Absolutely. The key quote from this section is right here. The roadmap often exists in the minds of the users you're designing things for. A lot of times entrepreneurs will be like, I just need to make a hypothetical customer journey. But oftentimes if you just ask your customers what they would like along the way, what hand-holding they'd like, what additional bonuses they'd like, they'll lead you in a really, really good direction. And even though you might think you have the best ideas out there, I guarantee you your customers have better ideas, and you need to keep asking them for that. That's really great. So, yeah, go for it.
Also, I think like if you send me an email that says, "Can you review our thing?" sometimes I'll just click like delete on them pretty quickly. So you've got to like make that a personal experience, but I really, really want to help you
Absolutely.
make your business better because I have some interest in making it better.
Yeah. What were some ways that Airbnb followed rule number 1? Like, what did they cite in the article? Yeah.
So I think when they had a very small customer pool, it was like 10 or something, 20, they would go door to door to these people and actually like ask them like, how was your experience? How could it be better? Like what are specific things that you would have preferred in your experience? And then they based their products based on that.
Absolutely. What were some parts of their business that were developed this way? Does anyone remember? I said a few.
Yeah, the profiles. So people were a little bit scared, like not knowing who would be in their house or who they were renting a space from.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the big one that they had. Can't remember the others. Perfect. What about 11-star experience? Can someone describe what they mean by 11-star experience in the article? Yes.
The article kind of went through kind of like what would be, say, like a 5-star experience for like an Airbnb check-in. Someone welcomes you and something like that, and then they build it, and they're like, okay, what would a 6-star experience be, and then 7 stars, and it goes all the way up, and they say like, well, like in this case, like an 11-star experience would be something that's like kind of impossible, but you do like the absolute most that you can do.
Absolutely. That's where the second highlighting quote sort of comes from. There's a sweet spot between they showed up and they opened the door and I went to space. Like the max 11-star experience that they highlighted was like Elon Musk meets you like after your private jet lands and is like, I'm taking you to space for your Airbnb. So, but why did they think about the 11-star experience being that important to think about? This was really sort of the key of the article right here. What was sort of novel about that? What's like the key takeaway from 11-star experience? I think like the main thing from this is that a lot of people will set their sights too low for what customer experience is going to be. Like you think that your product will sort of carry all of the value, and that your customer will be happy with a good product. But it a little bit goes back to the first article that we read, which was you need people not to like your product or like your experience, you need people to love it. Like people to actually care about it. You need to get to that critical mass where your business will exist for a good long while, and the only way that that'll happen is if people truly buy into it, truly love it. And also that 11-star experience is going to highlight ideas that are going to be possible to scale and possible to create a really wonderful experience off of that. And that sort of leads to number 3, which is you do need to create this sort of magical experience and then figure out what part can scale. And the nice thing about businesses is at early stages, you do things, this is point 4, take advantage of the time before you scale, you do things that don't scale. You can, in your first 10 customers or 10 users, you can know every little thing about all of them. You can know, what family they come from, like what pets they have, every little bit will add to it, and you'll be able to treat them like people, and that will really carry you very far from one level to the next level. One example, like with Verb, the thing that I work on most of the time, is initially when we got started, our friends on campus would text us to order Verb bars. And then as we sort of grew, we started this online, people were just buying on our website, and we realized like that wasn't super personal, and that wasn't a really exciting customer experience. So we built a way for customers to literally text us when they want to order Verb bars. And now we text with all of our customers around the United States, and a lot of them will keep us updated about, oh, I just had a baby this week, so I'm going to cut down on Verb for a little while, and we'll be like, oh, that's so cute, send us photos. That really happened, and like we get dog pictures every single day, and people actually enjoy that customer experience. And that was because we did something that wasn't scalable, it wasn't an 11-star experience, but it was definitely sort of in the 6-star experience. And then we figured out a way to build it and to scale it, and that's been a really big key to our growth. Cool. Does anyone else have any other thoughts or reflections on this? Anything that the article could have been better about doing? Okay, cool. I think that's a great article, particularly for how short it is. It really covers a lot, and it's really excellent. So now we're going to do some big business case studies. So Starbucks. Does anyone want to tell us what Starbucks does? What does Starbucks do? Yeah.
Starbucks offers overpriced coffee that makes you feel like you're part of the elite.
Awesome. Cool. Can someone describe the current customer experience? Like, tell us about a time where you walked into Starbucks recently, you personally. A good experience or a bad experience. Can you tell us about that experience? I know all of you have walked into Starbucks in the past couple months.
I went to Japan, and in Japan, at every Starbucks, when you get your coffee, there's the little hearts next to your name. and you feel really, really special. It's great.
Wow. That's exciting. Sorry, you were gonna say?
I was gonna say I went to Starbucks over fall break and they spelled my name right for the first time ever. And I have a really hard to spell name, I guess. And they spelled it right for the first time and that made me feel good.
That's awesome. That's sort of hits at the photo at the bottom.
Yes,
Sure. But so what's Starbucks' idea of customer experience? Like, can someone tell us a story about Alex who walks into Starbucks and she does what? Can someone describe what happens? I know this sounds super basic and fundamental, but it's really important to think about every single step that a person takes. Because every little bit about Starbucks, like from the outside of the store to the second that you step in, all of that is perfectly planned. It's very, very well thought out and thought through. Yeah.
So Alex walks in the store, and then, I mean, if there's like a daily routine, they stay, daily customer, they stay in line, they'll be like on their phone, checking their cell phone when they get there. They order like their daily coffee, so like coffee to go or whatever. And they might look at like the, I mean, if they like skip breakfast or something, they might look at like the muffin section, just browse there for a little bit, and they see something appealing, they're like, I'll grab a muffin with that too. They'll go and they'll wait for their coffee to be called, like maybe like some table, or like off to the side, and then like when their coffee's called, they can get it.
That's awesome.
I think like something that I do like whenever I go to Starbucks is like whenever they do they like change kind of like their posters and their designs like very frequently. So like to advertise maybe with a new product or something. So like that's kind of like the first thing that catches your eye even before you walk into the store itself, because it's kind of like outside the store as well. And like also like another thing to highlight is like when you walk in, like a lot of the times, say you are someone that like maybe the baristas see more than once, they're kind of encouraged to like kind of like make conversation, and like eventually they'll get to the point where they'll like remember your order. And if they don't know you and you like, there's a lot of times where like people don't necessarily know what they want.
Yeah.
They like the baristas are kind of trained to offer advice on that as well.
Yeah. Okay, add some like color to this thing. Like when you walk in, what do you smell? What do you hear? What does it feel like? What emotions does Starbucks convey to you? I'm serious. You have to think about these things on the most micro levels for it to come through. But, what do you think? What are some things that you smell, think, feel, taste? I mean, all of this, like, all Starbucks smell a certain way on purpose. All Starbucks have that like wood floor on purpose. There's a reason behind it. What do you think? Does anyone want to describe that? Yeah.
You come in and it smells like fall and pumpkin. And then you see the poster she was talking about that has like leaves swirling, and you know the pumpkin spice mocha caramel latte is back. And then you're all excited and you feel gooey, and even though it's like 600 calories, you're so excited to order one.
Exactly. And like people hang out in Starbucks.
Yeah.
People sit around for hours in a freaking coffee shop. That was the radical thing that Starbucks did. Before Starbucks existed, coffee shops were not really a thing. People did not go to coffee shops the way they go to coffee shops today before Starbucks. They changed an entire culture because of the fact that they thought about this customer experience and they said, how can we make this truly excellent? Everything from the floor plan about we want a bunch of tables that have 2 seats behind them. We want a long table where a bunch of people can be working individually, but yet they feel as part of a community. All of these little things went into the Starbucks experience that made it so magical that their first store in Seattle led to 10 stores in Seattle, and then it like expanded nationally. Like Starbucks is a massive business, and the founder's running for president someday. Like this customer experience was what gave them to it. Coffee existed. Like you could go somewhere and buy a cup of overpriced coffee anywhere in New York that you possibly wanted to. There was nothing cool about that experience. And then Starbucks came around and was like, you know, we actually can make this something where people associate our brand with a wonderful experience. That's sort of what I want to hint at, is that when you come and approach your business, it is not just, I sell coffee to people as they walk down the street and I'm super convenient. It's, I sell coffee and I make you feel incredible because you walk into my store and it smells amazing, it makes you feel happy, it makes you feel productive, you see a friend, you can go chat in the corner. Even the acoustics of Starbucks are designed a certain way so that some people can be having a conversation while other people can be studying undisturbed. Have you noticed that about like other coffee shops have much worse acoustics than Starbucks do. Like they really think through this thing, and every single Starbucks has all of these characteristics. It isn't just one Starbucks is 10 times better than another one. They generally all have a very high level of that. Last little bit too is the app. Starbucks app. Who here uses the Starbucks app? I mean, I feel like that's a decently common thing. Okay, you should probably download the Starbucks app. It'll save you a lot of money. But they crafted just such a great experience around. You can order your coffee and then go pick it up whenever it's done, and like that type of thing. And brand loyalty and the rewards program. No other coffee shop has ever been able to do that, but Starbucks is so created such a following. Here's how intense Starbucks thinks about their customer journey. Every single possible thing, like aroma, ambiance, it's loud, it's cold. Like this is a bad experience. This is a good experience, and this is where they want you to feel all the time. At a very minimum, you're gonna feel here at every single Starbucks, but they want you to feel all of this here, and they really don't want you to be down at the bottom. And do you see how they have a timeline walked out here? This timeline starts at the office. You aren't at Starbucks at this point, okay? You haven't even thought about it. And then you go to the car, and then you're like thinking about, oh, I might wanna go to Starbucks, and then you walk in, and then you stand in line, you order, pay, sit, drink, work, pack up, leave, and then get back in the car. They've thought through literally every single second that you're gonna spend there, and they've lined up what you're gonna care about at each of those points. So, you know, you're gonna start to worry right before you enter. Like they know that that's gonna be a thing, and they know that as soon as you enter, you're gonna feel whether it's cold, loud, or has good smell or ambiance. All of these types of things are really, really key for you to lay out for your entire customer. You need to know this intimately. You're not going to have something that's as elaborate as Starbucks does initially, but this is what made Starbucks a successful business. It's not that they made better coffee, it's not that they could make it more cheaply than anyone else, and it's not that they could make it more convenient than anyone else. It's because they built this wonderful customer experience.
Really quick on that note, so I was just in this case study we were talking about Starbucks, and so one of the conflicts that they had going into this, like they basically, if you think about it, like in I think it was 2003, which is when the case study I was reading was done. Their consumer was almost like it was like well-educated, more like affluent people, and then as they became more accessible, that kind of changed. There's that division between their consumer, and then also the division between the person that's going in to get their coffee quickly, and then the person that wants the experience. So actually, the card that you just showed was basically this effort on behalf of Starbucks to not like conflate and almost like have the consumer experiences like cannibalize each other, because if you have someone that wants this experience of like talking to the barista, and then there's someone behind them that wants their coffee like now, like we've all been in a Starbucks line and like it doesn't move fast enough, right? So that's one of the efforts on that Starbucks is like kind of trying to understand better, and like they're investing a lot in understanding the consumer experience, because it has this potential to like basically isolate both ends. So if you have this consumer experience that's oriented towards the person that wants to talk to the barista, and then another consumer experience that's oriented towards the person that wants their coffee quickly, like they can become contradictory very quickly.
And these are the things that are talked about at Starbucks at literally the highest level. Like this is not just something elementary that they give to interns to do as their summer project. Like this is the thing that makes or breaks their business. It's really, really key. So I know it sounds super simplistic sometimes, and it sounds like we're kind of being nitpicky on it, but these are the types of things you need to think about with your businesses too. Case study number 2, IKEA. I hope you all have walked into an IKEA at some point. It's quite the experience, both good and bad. So can anyone talk us through what IKEA is and what customer experience at IKEA is like? Yes?
Do we want like the full run through or just like the basics?
Sure, do the full run through.
Okay, so you go to IKEA, you go to the parking lot, and there's usually like an escalator up that's like flat. So you can take that, or you can take the stairs. And then you go up, and on the first floor, there's like this display area. I don't know if this is true for all IKEAs, maybe this is just my IKEA.
Yeah, you're right.
But there's like a display area with all these chairs and all like furniture like on the walls and stuff. But it looks really cool, it looks really simplistic. And then you walk in, and there's like the children's play area to the side where you can like put your kid in. Otherwise, you can just go around. There's like you can go, I think you start upstairs. There's like a dining area, and then you can go to, I think you're forced to walk through the dining area. And then you have to go through like the different sections and different, you go to like the beds and like the big stuff first, and then you go downstairs to the marketplace where there's like a whole bunch of like little stuff, and then you go to, and then they give you like little pencils and little rulers for free, and you have to like write down what you want, like the serial numbers, and then you go to the warehouse where all the stuff is actually stored, and then you pick up your stuff in these like big trolleys, and then you go, you check out, and then when you check out, there's like an area with other miscellaneous small food that you can also buy, and you're forced to walk through that, and then you are allowed to leave.
Absolutely. Perfect. Allowed to leave. That is the right way to phrase it. That's great. Yeah, IKEA, we were talking about customer journeys and about how people want your customer to have one ideal journey. IKEA forces you to have one journey. There is no way to go into an IKEA and do it differently than everyone else because there's one path and there are arrows that lead you along that path. It's the most basic customer journey that you can kind of get. But they've thought through almost everything. You highlighted a ton of things there that I just want to bring everyone's attention to. One is that you start on the upstairs. She said it initially. You start on the upstairs because no one wants to carry heavy furniture downstairs. So they make it very clear that you start upstairs, you see all the pretty stuff, you take photos of what you want, then you come downstairs and you tell the warehouse what you want and you just roll it out right to your car without having to carry it down escalators. That sounds super simple and simplistic, but there are like heavy stores with heavy items that are upstairs and escalators and elevators, and you're like, that's just, not thinking about your customer experience the right way. The other thing is, IKEA has really good, really cheap food. Or maybe not really good, but really cheap, solid food. Okay, there we go. They're famous for their meatballs. It's a furniture store, and they have meatballs and cinnamon rolls, and everyone who walks in there knows they have meatballs and cinnamon rolls, and it's really exciting. The cinnamon rolls are $1, the meatballs are like $5 for 10, or like something like that. It's a good deal, and the reason that they've crafted that is because they want you to make a day out of it. The more minutes you spend in IKEA, the more money you're going to spend in IKEA. And they know this about all of their customers that walk in. They want your family to say, we're going to go to IKEA for an entire day. We're going to have lunch there. We're never going to leave. We're going to keep you in this enclosed building full of really pretty decorations and stuff that you need in your house. And they also show you the same items multiple times in different setups. So you walk in and you'll see one store that's like, this is your living room, but here's, chair X. And then you'll walk in and you'll see it in the study, and chair X will be there again. And then you walk in and you see it in the movie room, and chair X will be there again. And you'll say, oh, I can really see that chair X in this different context. They know that the customer is looking through their eyes about what's going to look good in their household, and so they want to present a lot of different options for you to engage on that. Lastly, one part of the customer experience that's really important at IKEA you didn't get to. Can anyone think of probably the most important part of the IKEA customer experience? Yes?
The do-it-yourself aspect?
Yes, absolutely. Can you tell us more about that?
So once you buy a piece of furniture from IKEA, you take it back home, and it's not ready-made. You have to actually set it up yourself using the instructions that they provide and packaging.
Absolutely. And what are these instructions like?
Simple.
Super simple.
There are
There's no words. Good for any language, and it's all diagrams, and you can do it yourself. I did it, and I was really bad at building it, and that made fun of me. But I figured it out with no words and simple drawings. And this was really, really key, and it comes in really compact packaging. You can move an entire sofa, or not, I don't know, sofa, but a desk in and just carry yourself. If it's cheap, it's super heavy, but you'll make it work. Yeah.
On that note, there's a psychological phenomenon called the IKEA effect. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about it, but it's been studied that when you spend more time and you build things by yourself, and it's about anything, you like it more at the end of the day. So you could have been given a nicer furniture all assembled, but you wouldn't like it as much as your IKEA thing that you spent 3 hours doing.
No, that's absolutely true, and they thought through that. IKEA definitely could have made stuff that you just pull out of a box.
On that note, again, so one of the things that IKEA before IKEA, furniture stores gave you the finished product of okay, here's your table, you don't have to build it. IKEA was one I think the first mass retailer to kind of almost take that and twist it to make it an advantage that you did have to build it. So something as simple as oh, you have to build your own furniture, that could be a disadvantage that people don't want to do, and they don't want to they don't want that to be part of their experience. But what IKEA did was they basically took something that was expected. So if you think about it as there's this diagram almost that's actual expected and then augmented. They took something that was expected and got rid of it, which completely like transformed the entire experience. And then they added other things that contributed to making the entire experience easier. So IKEA was the first mass retailer to package their goods and that was in a way that was flat. So like when you see the flat boxes that you can just put in your car, that's all part of the experience that they augmented to like replace what like the other things that they were getting rid of to basically make things less expensive, which is really interesting.
Absolutely. Another thing, what country is IKEA from?
Sweden.
Everyone knows this. I'm serious. That is a key part about their customer experience. Is they embrace Sweden to a crazy big degree, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I love that! I'm gonna get some Swedish meatballs. I'm gonna like get really into this whole Sweden thing." And all the directions are initially in Sweden. All the titles of the products are in Swedish. That's not an accident. That isn't just because their warehouse can read it better in Sweden. Like they're a multinational, massive company. They can print things in whatever language they want, but they choose Swedish because they know that that's super key about their brand. Yeah.
In fact, they actually go to the level of like ridiculousness where they make up names for the products that aren't even Swedish. It just sounds Swedish.
Yeah. This is all very much a part of that customer journey and customer experience. And you want someone to walk in and they know that you're gonna go tell your friend, when IKEA was first getting started, I just went to that Swedish furniture store. Have you heard of that place? People are gonna be like, no, I didn't know that Sweden had furniture stores. Like, you know, like people like have this kind of, adding to the shareability of something, that if someone can tell you an additional fact about your business that's kind of interesting and quirky, they will. And I think that that's kind of shows that, IKEA has this really well figured out. And when you interact with big businesses, like think about this. Like McDonald's has a very famous, reputable customer experience that is very, very similar around the world, but yet there are parts that are tailored to their unique customers around there. Cars have this experience, the smell of a new car, like that's on purpose. They think about these types of things. And so when you go about your everyday life, start thinking about the customer experiences that you see and the things that can be improved about them, or the things that are really incredible about them, for instance. All right, last case study is this super hard one, but I'm wondering if anyone can explain what Salesforce does. I know that it's hard, but like this is one of the biggest companies in the United States right now. It's a great place to work. Really, it's a really, really good place to work. Has anyone heard of Salesforce? Mark Benioff? Anybody heard of him? Evan nodded, right? You know Salesforce. Do you want to tell us what Salesforce does?
Oh man, you're better than I am. So they're a good example of a B2B business, which is probably the reason most of you guys haven't heard of them, because they don't focus on the consumer side, they focus on the business side. I don't actually know a ton of what they do, but they're a San Francisco-based company that focuses on sales forces and like training you guys, training other companies' teams, providing them with the best tools that they can to sort of reach out to their customers. So they have become experts in this sort of very specific aspect that has actually branched out, I think, more broadly to marketing in general. They started with that sort of, but now they're sort of a marketing company that help you develop your marketing strategies and develop your sort of consumer platform to work on. But I'm trying to do better.
No, so they made the first CRM, which is a customer resource manager. So it's basically like if companies just find it really hard to keep up with your customers because you're gonna have a bunch of them, and like one person, Joe might have like just found you on your website and like he has a bunch of questions about pricing, and Samantha has a bunch of questions about like how to use the product. And then you get an email from Samantha and you'll be like, I just can't remember which one's Samantha. Is Samantha the price one, or is Samantha the how to use it one? And then with Salesforce, they created a nice, easy, simple way for you to keep track of where all your customers are, and the customer life cycle is what they call it. Their job, the reason I picked Salesforce is because their job is to craft good customer journeys and customer experiences, like help companies do this. So they basically, you can't really see it very well, but this one is basically like they're starting to create and model customer experience for like that you as an employee of company X can create a customer journey that you want for your customers on Salesforce, and then you can track them along that journey. And so I wanted to give you a business that was about creating customer journeys as kind of like a meta thing about how this is like actually really important to businesses. This is a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company, and they basically helped do it. They also have excellent customer experience too. One thing that's funny about Salesforce is they'll all reach out to you really individually. Like if you like have your own business, or maybe it's a very small business, they'll still reach out to you personally, and then you get on the phone with them. They'll do a couple like really nice phone calls. They'll walk you through this really pretty PowerPoint, and they'll say, oh yeah, we'll help you a lot with your sales. I'm here at all times. Like give me a call whenever you want. Here's my personal cell phone number. All of these types of things, and then they check in with you every 2 weeks until you buy. And then they train your employees for you in how to use the service, and they really do an excellent job of this. So I also wanted to give you that as an example of, if you're really good at designing customer experiences,